Everyone saw the keynote speech from Elon Musk? Pretty awesome, right? Google's making deodorants, okay? I have to sell Google by Tesla. My name is Hian. I used to be an entrepreneur. I'm now a very experienced venture capitalist. I've done this for a very long time, exactly maybe 14 months. And I did this because I wanted to solve the Series A crunch. I think all of you guys, how many of you guys are currently sort of entrepreneurs? Show of hands. How many of you guys are kind of like at seed going to Series A? Show of hands. Okay. Series A crunch has been a big thing. I mean, we've talked about it for such a long time, right? All the people, it was even called the Series A void. And so I was determined to fix this problem, and I'm proud to say after about 4 years of work, today we have a fund that is attempting to do that. And so I'd like to share a few views about the Series A crunch. So, you want the good news or the bad news? Let's do the good news first, okay? The good news is that Singapore is actually a great place to start up a tech company, all right? And I think all of us know that, and I don't have to go any further because these are all smart people in the audience, but I just want to make it, I think 3 things were very important. One is that the government did a very good job seeding the ecosystem. So 2010, I was running Asian Food Channel, and the National Research Foundation came to me and said, Hian, you got to come back on the ground. And at this point in time, you must remember, I'm a traumatized entrepreneur. I've been doing this since 2004, and I'm like, I feel like the Singapore dodo. Once I'm gone, there's no more entrepreneurs. But it was not true. All the incubators have been rebooted. And you have to take it from a historical perspective. We've been involved in technology since 1999. And we had the first wave, and everybody went up to China, and there was a void. And I, smartly started up a company at that point of time. And then it came back, and then we rebooted it after the financial crisis. That's one. Number 2, we've actually got really great accelerators in this space now. I'm very fond of Y Combinator, but we've got other things like Founders Institute. We've got, the new fintech startup. And then, of course, we've got the high net worth individuals. So I think this triple storm of factors has meant that it is a really great place to start up a company, right? And encompassing this is really the vision that Southeast Asia is the third arm of the growth strategy in Asia today, right? So you got China, you got India, and then you got this weird thing called Southeast Asia, which I call the United States of Southeast Asia, which I believe very strongly in because I built a business called Asian Food Channel, amalgamating this, and then people found it very valuable. What's interesting about Southeast Asia, really, for layman term, I call it India on steroids, right? It's kind of got the same GDP as India. It's got half the population, so we've got about roughly twice the GDP per capita. It's got an average age of India, but it's got an urbanization rate somewhere near China. It's India on steroids. That's what I tell people. The lament is, of course, that it's a bit like Europe, and there's many different countries and many different languages, and so it's not a homogeneous market. My contention is, if you think India is a homogeneous market, you should go talk to an Indian person, right? It's really 2 countries. You want to think about China? Is China, there's the coastal cities. Look, apart from the United States, we're going to have this problem. The good news is Southeast Asia is helmed by 2 megacities, Singapore, and to a large extent Hong Kong, I do believe there. It's a great market, and people are starting to realize this. The excitement is building. You've seen the headlines, some blockbuster deals. I've had the fortune to meeting some of these people as well. I'm changing the strategy of our fund to I'm investing in anything that SoftBank's going to invest in, right? This is starting to happen. In the jewel in this whole Southeast Asian region, we believe, apart from Singapore, is a great place to take off, is Indonesia. Indonesia presents the largest untapped market today. You can go see the statistics. I don't need to go through it. Just one data point, which is we believe at North Star and NSI Ventures that the middle class is going to double in the next 3 to 5 years. And when I go to Indonesia, and we've been operating, and I remember when I first started my first company in China, it kind of feels like China in the early noughties. People just starting to get their handphones, starting to realize, they've got some disposable income. Watch what happens in the next 3 to 5 years is what I'm saying. Valuations, well, no comments on that, but the promise is there. Indonesia is the jewel in the crown. And once you clear Series A, we believe the valuation jumps. We know that because we were early investors into Redmart, and then when Redmart finally did the next rounds, we did very well in it. You clear the Series A, you get the rewards. That's the good news. So, let's go to the bad news. The bad news is, this is how we operate. Okay? We have about 1,000 people, 1,000 companies, which we actively track. It's in our database. Companies and teams who have received more than $250,000, we classify them as seed funding companies. Just under 1,000, not quite there. Just for the presentation, I'll put it at 1,000. We like 80 companies. We start talking to about 35 of them very seriously. We kind of give them a couple of documents and term sheets for 15 companies. We did detailed due diligence. We've invested 8 companies to date. And as a fund, we might just do another 4 more this year, and by the time we get to 15, I think our portfolio is pretty much covered. So I've got, with my partners, about 4 more tickets to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And it's very precious. And it's very precious because we don't like the spread. We're a high-touch, high-conviction firm. And I urge you to meet some of our portfolio companies and ask them, right, does Hian take care of you, right? You know, if you message him at 11 o'clock at night, or Shane, by 11:05, do we message you back, and does my wife complain about it? If the answer is yes, then that's the VC you want, okay? And then this becomes the slide that I've been trying to get to after 5-6 minutes. And I'm very fortunate. I must say, I shout out to the Tech in Asia crew because they've done a great job with TechList. I did this last night. I'm a subscriber of TechList. I use it. I encourage you guys to use it. It saves a lot of time. And the bottom line is, when we search Southeast Asia, I just did that, right? All companies, we got about 2,000 companies from them. So that's all companies they track. So we've got the 1,000 seed companies. So roughly, the thinking is, if you decide to want to start a company, you got a 50-50 chance to get to seed, right? You call an uncle, you call a friend of yours, you call a high net worth individual, somebody's going to give you about $250,000. You got a 50 chance. And then you go at it for about 12 months, figure out product market fit, everything. And then I typed in number of active Series A companies in the tech list. I get 104. So in other words, if you think you're really hot because you got the seed funding, you got a 10-to-1 chance of making it through Series A. 10-to-1. I'm not making this up. So, do we have a Series A crunch? I think we do. Do we have it for the right reason? I think we do. I'll talk about that more. Here's the good news. If you get past Series A crunch, and there's 34 Series B active companies in the tech list portfolio, so let's assume it. You got 35% chance of being very successful. If we say maybe another 15% actually got acquired, really what we're saying is after you get your Series A funding, you got about a 1 in 2 chance of either continuing the journey or getting an exit. So Series A is where the buck stops. Series A is where you have to focus. To do that, you got to have a business. I think one of the things that we're very, very nice to everybody who's in seed because we know how tough it is, right? We've been there. You know, Shane's seen companies, Ashish has built companies, I've built companies, we know it's hard. So we're very encouraging, but we've only got a couple of tickets, so we only want to bet on people that we can really add value to. And by the time you get to Series A, it's not e-commerce anymore, it's just commerce, right? You better have your metrics, you better have your cohort analysis, you better have a business. Because when we come in and we put in, you know, just like we put in $8 million into CXA, just like we put in, you know, $6 million into Trade Gecko, it's crunch time, guys. You know, we've got to build a deep bench, we've got to build CFO, we've got to build head of product marketing. Expectations are high. So when you guys want to get Series A money, you really got to think, right, which is the team of people who are going to be there, your investors, right, to help you get this journey. And so I didn't want to do this by myself, so I'm very proud of the fact that I've got 2 other foolhardy individuals who trust my judgment, and we are these 3 people here. And I decided to do it with North Star because, just as a quick edification, North Star is a $1.8 billion private equity fund, and they know a lot of people. Sometimes in the B2B world, all you need is an introduction. We sit on many different boards of banks. I can call up a lot of people. We're affiliated with TPG. I can call a lot of people in the Valley, and so can Shane, and Ashish knows a lot of people. So we know a lot of people. That's the slide. This is our portfolio. If you'd like to learn more about our portfolio, you can go online. I've got some time, so maybe I should talk a little bit about it. We've been very excited. I think TradeGecko is a company, absolutely nailing the metrics. Came out of the JFDI program. We've been tracking them for almost 2.5 years. It's working. That's why I like spending time with Seed. And when the time came for us to have that conversation, to invest in them, it was very natural. They knew us, we knew them. Gojek, Uber for motorcycle taxis, fantastic traction there. I'll say no more. We also like hardware. I famously talk about Rotimatic, an automatic flatbread maker, raised $5 million in pre-orders in 7 days. We're very excited. Here's the crunch. We actually got to build the machine. We're very realistic about the challenges. And one of the things we like to tell our investors is if something goes wrong, please don't hide it. Just give us a shout. We're married to you anyway. We're in. Might as well figure out what went wrong and help you. So we will be the first people to say that. We're proud to say that sometimes when the crisis hits, I like to believe that the first people that our entrepreneurs call are either myself or my colleagues. So this is a tricky slide, but I want to show you. If you wanted to have an insight into our brain, how do we look at it? B2C is on top, B2B is at the bottom. Indonesia, Singapore. Singapore's got very good B2C and also very good B2B. Indonesia got very good B2C. But by definition, because most of the B2B professionals who didn't quit the big companies and decided to live in Singapore, so Singapore is a bit better on the B2B side. But there's still some really great B2B companies in Indonesia. And the rest of Southeast Asia, I know it doesn't look that promising. We could be wrong. We haven't spent that much time. We'll do that. We'll get back to you on that. So that's all I have to say about it. I think Series A is a very critical time. Pick your investors well. If you don't get through it, that's fine. A lot of people haven't. Fail fast, come back again, because if you clear Series A, you have a 1 in 2 chance of being successful. And if you don't believe me, you can talk to a guy named Jack. He had a Series A crunch. We're a bit older, so we know. We were around in .com 1.0. And I remember this in October 1999. Alibaba was scrambling to raise $5 million. Scrambling. And they put together Goldman Sachs, Transpac Capital, a whole bunch of people. And then after that, Son put in $20 million. And as they say, the rest is history. So if you feel a little bit depressed, you can come wave it hi to us. We'll wave back to you. And if I look stressed, it's just because there's a lot of people messaging us because we're right at the coalface of the most important part of your journey, Series A. And don't worry, Jack's been there too. So good luck. I'll be in the conference. And thank you very much for listening to me. And that's our view on the Series A crunch.